Hello, art friends, and hello 2020. My name is Fleshwad, and today I am drawing my 2019 movie Monster. A little late, I know, but I wanted to wait until the last day of the year to binge all of the horror movies I could. If you've been around long enough, you might remember a video I made last year titled Combining 2018 Scary Movies into One Mega Movie Monster. This is the same video, but with 2019 movies. If you're unfamiliar, I am basically going to take one feature from each of the horror movies that I saw that came out in 2019 and combine them all into one mega movie monster, all while discussing my thoughts on the movie. Here was last year's Monster, and if you're interested in how she came to be, I will leave that video in the description down below. Now, as for our 2019 movie Monster, let's begin. I'm not really sure which movie to start off with, so I'm just going to go in order of the features as they appear. First up is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I was actually really looking forward to this movie ever since I heard it was going to come out. It really brings up a lot of nostalgia for me. I remember reading the books at a very young age and really being mesmerized by the drawings. I decided to use the pale-faced lady as the head for my movie Monster. This resulted in her also being a female, but I just love drawing the pale-faced lady. I also have a video on my channel where I read each of the 5 stories that the movie was based off of. That was actually one of my favorite videos of the year. Narration-wise, not art-wise, but yeah. As for the movie, I believe it came out around Halloween time. Voiceover Flesh here. A lot of the time dates are off. I am so bad at time. And I did go and see it in the theaters. I obviously liked it since I made a whole video on it. I give it an 8 out of 10. It was funny, scary, and overall very aesthetic. I really fell in love with the characters. Even though it was only a movie, it still gave a really deep look into their backgrounds and their lives, and it had some really good character parallels, which I also really enjoyed. Also, a movie based on that set of stories could honestly never fail. I mean, it'd be pretty hard. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend. Next up is Child's Play. This one might be a bit of a cop-out, but I gave my movie Monster a robotic arm. I couldn't really think of anything else for Child's Play besides a knife, but her hands were already full. I thought a robotic arm would suit Child's Play well since the remake is more tech-focused. In the remake, Chucky is the result of an AI gone bad versus the original where Chucky is actually a doll who is possessed by the soul of a killer. When I had first heard of the plot, I was a little bit on the fence. I kind of love taking a movie and updating it. I thought an in-home robot was such a cool 2019 idea. I really liked the new Child's Play. It was playful as the original Chucky was, and it was creepy. The only thing that I wish was that the kills would have been better. To me, the first kill was the only good one. The others were like seen from the shadows type, which I didn't really enjoy. But overall, I give Chucky a 7 out of 10. I even bought the movie on Black Friday. Next up is Ready or Not. This was actually one of the last movies I saw this year, if not the last. I really wanted to see it when I saw the trailer, but then I completely forgot about it until early December when I started making my 2019 movie list. I rented it at the Redbox along with Happy Death Day to You, which we will get to later on in this list. And I even got tweeted at by Redbox, which was pretty cool. I decided to draw my movie Monster in a wedding dress since the movie deals with a distressed bride. The movie is about a newlywed couple where on the groom's side, the family always plays a game to welcome in anyone new. They draw cards to decide which game to play, and Grace, the bride, pulls out hide and seek.
Game. Hide and seek? Are we really gonna play that?
It is later revealed that this is the only card in which the partner must die by sunset, or else some really bad stuff will happen. I don't want to give away the whole movie, but I remember thinking this was such an original and playful idea, and it was. It wasn't the best movie in my opinion, but it had its moments. I felt that the movie moved a little too fast for my tastes, but you could argue that they are running against time. The ending really just threw me off, and I think that's a huge reason why it fell a little short for me. I think it's still worth seeing definitely, and I would give it a 6 out of 10. Next movie is Us. I know the whole world was looking forward to Us after watching Jordan Peele's Get Out. I think this was the second movie I saw this year. I did go see it in theaters with my boyfriend. I chose to draw my movie monster holding the scissors from the movie in her left hand, glove included. Us did get a lot of backlash from critics, but only because it isn't the type of movie that is spoon-fed to viewers. The exact same thing with Hereditary. And same with Hereditary, I try not to think about this movie ever. I actually really enjoyed Us. From the awkward car drive,
don't do drugs, get in rhythm,
to the Beach Boys moment, to the surprise twist ending. Us follows a family who go away on a vacation of sorts, but the mother is haunted by a strange encounter she had when she was a kid. This movie was brilliant, even from the trailer. I remember thinking that, oh, it's just a home invasion movie, until you notice that the other people are actually copycats or duplicates of the main characters. It is just such a creepy movie. The audio was also perfect. I have to give it a 10 out of 10. I would recommend seeing it, but definitely not alone. Next are the Red Balloons, for none other than It Chapter 2. I liked it for the most part. I definitely did not like it as much as the first one, but it was still a good movie. It got a lot of backlash for the opening scene, which I agree was very shocking, but the directors were just trying to follow the plot of the book. Other than that, the movie was a little too playful and funny for something that should have ultimately been very scary. It dealt with a lot of dark themes, violence, abuse, rape, which I felt like all got left behind in the fact that it was on the more comedic route. A little comedy is always nice in horror movies to break the tension. However, I just felt like it was a little much in this movie. Other than that, I really enjoyed it, and I give it a 7 out of 10. I can't believe I left this out, but I was pregnant for most of the year, and not that it has a lot to do with watching movies, but I remember being really scared to go and watch It Chapter 2 in the theaters because I was so pregnant at the time, and I had this fear that I would get so scared during the movie and my baby would like pop out. I don't know, it sounds so dumb now, but it was a big fear back then. Luckily, didn't happen. I just wanted to add that thought that I had in the video. I was also pregnant when I saw Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, but I saw that it wasn't going to be that scary, and I don't think I was as pregnant, so didn't really scare me too much. But yeah, I just had that feeling with it. Okay, back to the video. Sorry I'm whispering, trying to keep it quiet for my baby. Next is Midsommar. For Midsommar, I gave my movie monster a flower crown. Midsommar follows a girl who just recently lost her whole family and is also in a very troubled relationship. We follow her and her boyfriend and a couple of his friends on a midsummer trip to watch the rituals of one of the friends' tribes. I could honestly make a whole video on this movie alone. It is very weird and creepy and haunting. It is also made by the same company that made Hereditary, so it's no surprise that it turned out that way. There are a bunch of rituals that we see in the movie, one being selecting a May Queen. The main girl, or Dani, becomes May Queen and she is donned this beautiful flower crown. I really liked Midsommar. It was very hard to get a grasp on, which I really enjoyed, and I feel like it's a movie you might have to watch a couple of times to really notice everything. I give it a 9 out of 10 and I would definitely recommend watching. However, it's not suitable for kids like at all, so just keep that in mind. Next is a pretty funny feature, and it is the Porcupine Mouth. This is from the Hulu original Little Monsters, also starring Lupita Nyong'o, who was in Us. Little Monsters is about a teacher who takes her children on a field trip where there is a zombie outbreak. This movie was hilarious. It is a little bit more adult. I don't think it was made for kids, despite being about kids, but I found it really, really funny. Earlier, I mentioned that it was a little too funny for my tastes. However, this movie was more comedic than horror, which I think is why I liked it so much. Anyways, there's this one scene where one of the zombies feeds on a porcupine and in return is left with a porcupine mouth.
Who remembers how to play tag? Well, those funny-looking people out there are
I knew as soon as I saw that scene that my movie monster would have to be drawn with that in mind. I give Little Monsters a 9 out of 10. Next movie is Pet Sematary. I decided to put one of the masks featured in the movie in the right hand of my movie monster. As for the movie, Pet Sematary is a remake about a family who moves to the country and realizes they have a pet cemetery in their backyard, but there's also a different kind of cemetery where you can bury dead things and they come back. I really liked the original Pet Sematary. It wasn't my favorite Stephen King movie, but it was pretty creepy. I didn't really like the Pet Sematary remake at all. I kind of suffered through it since I had already spent the money to rent it, but it honestly wasn't that good, and a lot of the choices made in the movie were kind of irritating, like, I don't know, changing the entire plot maybe. As a standalone, it would have been alright, but as a remake, it was kind of unwatchable. I give it a 4 out of 10. Next is La Llorona. I'm going to be really honest, I did not like this movie at all. It was a big miss for me personally, which I was really sad about since it is such a popular Mexican urban legend. I even have a video based on that legend. I think the movie was set in the 70s, if I remember correctly, which I really loved. It had Velma, which I also loved. I know a lot of viewers were angry since she isn't of Latina origin, but I didn't mind that. What I hated was how lame the movie was. I think I was expecting more jump scares or more screen time or something. I'm not sure, but the movie was just really lacking for me. It did have its moments, but it was just overall a miss. I gave my movie monster tears streaming from her face, and you'll notice I did little details with the movies that I didn't really like. I give this movie a 3 out of 10. By the way, you can totally watch it, obviously. Just because I didn't like it doesn't mean you won't. Next movie is Brightburn. This one came out very early in the year, if I remember correctly, but I didn't watch it until way, way later. I decided to give my movie monster the cape in which we see the main character in Brightburn wearing multiple times. If you haven't heard of Brightburn, it's basically the what if Superman was a villain instead of a hero aspect. This movie 110% took me by surprise. I really enjoy secluded movies, and I felt like that's what this was. It was also super gory, which completely surprised me and made me like it even more. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend watching. I rate it an 8 out of 10. Next is Escape Room. This is the first movie I saw in theaters for 2019. I gave my movie monster little puzzle cutouts on her legs to represent Escape Room. Being completely honest again, I hated this movie. Not even a slight dislike. I mean, I completely hated this movie. It follows 6 quote-unquote random people and their adventure into what seems to be an innocent escape room game, until one by one, room by room, they start to die. It sounds like such a cool concept, and I was really excited for this movie. However, when watching it, I couldn't help but feel like I was watching a Saw ripoff. Even the end quote, "Let's play a game," I just couldn't with that movie. I give it a 2 out of 10. Next is Happy Death Day to You. Happy Death Day 2 You is a sequel to Happy Death Day. It follows Tree from the first movie, who is thrown back into a repeating loop, like the first movie, except this time some of the details have changed. This one is kind of hidden. Originally, I was going to have my movie monster wearing an FML t-shirt, but in retrospect, I didn't really like that idea. So I decided to have her dress torn open a bit and put on the bikini that Tree wears in one of the scenes where she offs herself. I really enjoyed this movie as much as I did the first one. It wasn't my favorite movie ever, but it was a nice watch. I give the movie a 6 out of 10. Next is Velvet Buzzsaw. Another movie I was really looking forward to as it stars my favorite actor, Jake Gyllenhaal. It follows an art museum who is knowingly exploiting and making money off of a dead artist's work, and in turn, they are haunted by the late artist's paintings. This was another movie I completely hated. I actually had to try and watch it on 3 separate occasions. It was that hard to sit through. It felt overall very pretentious, which I suppose is what the movie was going for, but it was really hard to like and to listen to and to follow along. I really did not care for it at all. There was, however, a really cool effect that they did in this one scene. One of the actresses is in a makeshift museum and all of the paintings around her start to drip, and that drip effect is also mimicked onto her skin, which was really cool to see. So I did that same effect on the Brightburn cape as well. I give this movie a 1 out of 10, and unless you are pretentious yourself, I do not recommend seeing it at all. Hey, thanks for making it this far. There are only 2 movies left, so if you did make it this far, please give the video a like and subscribe if you haven't. Now on to the last 2 movies. Go. Next is Mercy Black. This is actually a Netflix original movie, I believe, and it came out early in the year as well, but I only recently saw it. If you haven't heard of it, Mercy Black is basically an urban legend in this movie, and there were 2 girls who committed crimes because of the urban legend. It is a lot like the real-life story of the Slenderman crimes that happened a couple of years ago. In this movie, we follow one of the little girls who has now grown up but is still haunted by Mercy Black and the crimes that she committed. I really enjoyed this movie. I like urban legends and lore a lot, so it's no surprise that I liked this movie. If you have Netflix, I really recommend watching it. I don't know if this will ruin the movie, but Mercy Black is essentially a mixture of a lot of items, and that is how she is brought to life. So I didn't really know what item to add onto my movie monster to represent Mercy Black. There is this one scene where the son in the movie, he has like these strings that are attached to his vent so you can know when the vent is on. I almost thought of adding that in somewhere, but then I thought that might be kind of silly, so since Mercy Black is basically just a mixture of items, I figured she was already kind of represented here. I rate Mercy Black an 8 out of 10. The last movie on this list is Zombieland Double Tap. If you have been wondering this whole time why my movie monster is wearing a big pink puffy jacket, Madison is why.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Hi, I'm Columbus.
Madison.
This is Tallahassee.
Hey, Paul Blart. Is this your dad?
Madison is a new character in the Zombieland universe. Zombieland Double Tap is a sequel to Zombieland. It follows the same characters from the first movie who are now on a mission to find a home. Along the way, they meet Madison. She's extremely hilarious, a real girly girl. I honestly think I wouldn't have liked the movie as much as I did if it wasn't for her. It was obviously a hilarious movie, but she made it 100 times better. I almost didn't even want to see the movie when the first trailer came out. However, one night I was browsing Netflix and decided to re-watch the first movie, and of course I fell in love with it all over and decided to watch the sequel in theaters. I really enjoyed it and I rate the movie a 10 out of 10. If you have seen the first one and you enjoyed that one, I would suggest watching Zombieland Double Tap as well. I also gave my movie Monster a more zombie-like pose to incorporate Zombieland even more. I am going to bite the bullet and say that Zombieland Double Tap was my all-time favorite movie of 2019. I love comedic horror when it's done right, and this movie was just so right. Here is my complete 2019 movie Monster. What do you guys think of her? I know she isn't exactly scary and she might not exactly be a monster, but I love her so much. Especially when compared to my last year's Monster, who I really sort of hated. I love this design a lot. What was your favorite movie of 2019? Did you watch any of the horror movies that weren't on the list, such as Mama, Annabelle Comes Home, Doctor Sleep, and so on? I couldn't watch every movie, but of the ones I did, there was a lot that I really enjoyed and that I think will stick with me. I'm so excited to see what horror movies will come out in 2020. What was your favorite and least favorite movies of the year? They don't even have to be horror related. Let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching, art friends. Until the next video. Bye.